Hey, everybody. Mike Fuller here with today's Golden Nugget, where pros dig for gold. Let's dive in, shall we? Okay, there's three groups in the real estate industry, and that's what we're going to talk about today is real estate. And so, not that you can't learn something if you're not in real estate, because you can, but this is specifically geared toward the realtors out there that are on the webinar today. And so, group one, that's the vast 80% in the business that aren't sure they're going to make it, and they're just giving real estate a try. Unfortunately, that's so true. Group two, the 20% that make 80% of the money, those folks are totally committed. They know they'll reach their current and future goals. Then there's group three, and this is the group that I want you to aspire to, and this is the group I certainly was in and aspired to in my career, and that's the top 5%. Those are the highly skilled, the totally committed, and they have an overwhelming love for the real estate industry. Really, really critical that no matter what you do in life, that to become really, really good at it, you've got to practice, drill, and rehearse and have a lot of tools in your tool chest that you're adept at using. Because no matter how many, first of all, if you don't have the tools, you're not going to do well in this business. Secondly, if you have a tool chest full of tools, but you're not skilled at using them, you're not going to do well in this business either. You've got to put in the time and effort to practice, drill, and rehearse, just like in any endeavor in life, whether it's sports, being a doctor, a lawyer, a professional realtor, whatever it is, you have got to, if you're going to reach the top, you've got to continually improve yourself and sharpen your tools. Top 5%, what do they like? They have something in their makeup that drives them to prove something to someone. Don't know what it is for you, but I know there's something there that drives you to be successful. They have an overwhelming desire to achieve, and they refuse to accept mediocrity. They operate like a business. They have commitments with consequences versus goals, and they love people and use money instead of using people and loving money. And let's back up for just a second. The commitments with consequences versus goals. I think that commitments with consequences they have better teeth, bigger teeth, sharper teeth in them for you than simply goals. Goals are great as long as they're in writing and they're vividly imagined and they're ardently desired. But if there are no consequences, whether you reach that goal or if you don't reach that goal, I don't think it has quite as much power in it, as well as you won't hold yourself as accountable, I don't think, for at least most people won't, as you would if there were consequences with your commitments. More traits of the top 5%, they discipline themselves to pay fast attention to details. They strive to keep balance in their lives, to reach commitments in all the threads that make up the fabric of their lives, like family, fitness, faith, and finances. You can add or subtract from that all you want. That's just my 4. They realize that real estate sales is nothing but a big numbers game, and they must play the percentages. Okay, they have learned to love the word no. That's critical in sales. When you realize and you look at the stats that are out there all over the place, that 80% of all sales happen between the 5th and the 12th contact. Okay, again, it's a numbers game, and when you know your numbers, you can make it a game actually, and it can be fun. And then you learn to love the word no, because every no you get gets you closer to a yes. And I used to play it this way. When every yes was say worth $2,000 in my selling career, and I knew that I had to speak to 100 people to get a yes. That means I needed 99 no's roughly. So every yes or every no then was worth about what? $20. 20 times 100 is 2,000. So I used to have fun with it when I'd go door knocking every single day. Even days when I had many days I didn't want to, but I did it, and I had a great time doing it once I got out there. But I used to love the word no, because I knew every no I got, was worth $20. That's the game I played. So sometimes at the door I might get $200-300. You never know. Get a lot of no's sometimes, right? Okay. Attitude's everything. And no's are the bricks that build the yellow brick road to yes, or success, I should say. And when you know that, hey, that keeps you going. They realize that they are not judged by the number of times they fail, but by the number of times they succeed, and that the number of times they succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times they can fail and keep trying. And that's, so true. And that's just like anything in life. When you learned how to ride a bicycle, you surely didn't quit after you fell down, for the 20th time in a row, or anything else that you set your mind to. You didn't quit, right? So same thing with real estate. If you set your mind to it and you just keep going no matter what, you'll be successful. The power of questions. We ask questions to gain control. We ask them to isolate areas of interest, get minor agreements, arouse emotions, isolate objections, and then turn answer those objections. And the first goal of the great ones is to make the prospect like and trust them. They also realize that it's human nature to doubt when told something, and to ask questions builds trust. So for example, whenever you go into a situation with a customer and you begin to make statements of fact, no matter what they are, the customer is going to tend to doubt you subconsciously or consciously, and it's just human nature. And so instead, turn it around and ask great questions and have them make those statements of fact, because when you do it that way, they believe it because they made that statement of fact, not you. After all, we are salespeople, right? And in their mind, we're simply telling them a statement of fact to make money, right? But if we're asking them questions, it's more about them than it is about us. So always remember that. It's always got to be about the customer. Here's some questioning techniques that are really useful, very basic, but also certainly have a place in the conversation of selling. The alternative choice. This is a great one for getting appointments for all kinds of different situations in the business. But one of the easy ways to do it, in fact, I'm going to use a different example than I've got here on the screen, but I used to love calling for sale by owners and saying basically, "Hi, this is Mike Fuller with XYZ Realty, and I noticed your ad in this morning's, Gazette, whatever, and I was just wondering if you'd be offended if I just stopped by to see your home." Now, what are they trained to say, on the phone if it's a realtor that calls? No, right? So when I say, "I wondered if you'd be offended if I just stopped by to see your home," they say no. I say, "Great, I'll be in the area this afternoon around 3 o'clock, or would 4 o'clock be better?" They can't say no to that. They have to pick 3 or 4. They say 4. You say, "Great, I'll see you at 4. Again, my name is Michael Fuller, and I look forward to meeting you then. Thank you. Goodbye." Quick, easy appointment. Go see somebody. The one old codger in the business one time said, there's only one secret key to success in sales, and that is to see 20 people a day, belly to belly. And boy, is that ever true. If that's all you did every single day was see 20 people a day that you hadn't seen the day before, and you would be very successful. Very few people are willing to put the work in. Okay? Enough about that. So now, the tie down. Here's another questioning technique. You're interested in the home having complete exposure, aren't you? Is an example of a tie down, the "aren't you" part at the end of the sentence. There's many ways to use tie downs. You can use them at the end of a sentence, at the beginning of a sentence. You can use them in the middle of a sentence. But you don't want to overuse this particular technique because it just doesn't come off right if you're using it all the time. Wouldn't you agree? Okay, so then there's the minor involvement question as well. "Mr. and Mrs. Smith, would you want us to call for an appointment before showing the home, or shall we just stop by?" Now, that's not only a minor involvement, it's also a combination of an alternative choice that's thrown in there. So if you're in a listing appointment, it's a great question to ask to help you fill out that listing form, which you've, by the way, got 95% filled out already. But I used to love to leave this question blank, or the answer to this question blank, and ask that question right in the middle of my listing presentation, basically. And then write the answer right on the listing agreement. Sometimes they'd stop me and say, "Hey, Mike, what are you doing? We haven't decided to list our home with you yet." And I would say, "I understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I like to keep everything in the proper perspective, and I do that on the paperwork. And that way I don't forget anything, especially something that might cost you time or money. And by the way, would 30 days after closing for possession be good for you, or would 60 be better?" And you just keep moving, and you keep answering these questions on your listing agreement until it's completely filled out. Okay, and then there's the feedback question. This is a great one. They say, "Hey, I don't want to sign on the property, Mike." Well, here's what the pro says. "You don't want to sign on the property. Could you elaborate on that?" And you got to use the right inflection. So make sure that you're not flip or being a smart aleck or anything when you say things like this. Okay. Then there's the throwback. They say, Hey, Mike, can you get the home sold in 60 days? Now, when I was new in the business, I might say yes or no or maybe, I'm not sure. Any of those answers is the wrong answer. The pro says, does 60 days suit your time frame best? Because now you've thrown it back in their lap and they have to kind of basically justify why they've asked you if you can get the home sold in 60 days. And then you can learn some more information and really find out a little bit more about their motivation. Prospecting, your key to prosperity. Non-referral, and now listen, I know prospecting, boo, got to do it, okay? You want to be successful? You got to prospect, and it's got to be an appointment that you keep with yourself every single day, okay? For at least 1 to 3 hours every day, you've got to prospect. Here's some ways you can do it. There's non-referral prospecting. Go out with creativity and generate ways of meeting people you don't know. Scary stuff, I know, but hey, I knocked on doors every single day for 10 years. And the first probably 10 times I did it, I was scared out of my wits. I think you could hear my knees knocking. And the first person that answered the door, I didn't even know what to say. I just stood there kind of dumbfounded. And they're like, finally, can I help you? And so really critical that you learn what to say when you're at that door so that you don't, so that you have an opportunity to, perhaps dig up some potential business either right then or down the road. There's the itch cycle. That's in America, every 5 to 7 years, people, move on average. And so the itch cycle maybe begins in the third, fourth, fifth year, sixth year, maybe even, of living in a particular home or wherever they are now. And they start to think about, moving up, moving down, trading, whatever, but they get the itch to move. And so those are the people, you can get those lists from lots of different places of folks that have lived in their home in that period of time and sort through them and market to the ones that you feel you'd like to market to and start to become their real estate representative. Okay? Timing's everything. So, okay, networking with other top professionals in other fields. Like insurance sales, retail sales, automobile sales, estate attorneys. There's also many other, professional fields you can network with and create a group. Actually, that's like a tips group where you meet once a week for coffee and a donut or coffee and donut, coffee and breakfast, something more healthy than a donut. Okay, and you help each other build your businesses, and so you want to pick top people. You want to pick people you get along with. And people that you can get leads to, and they can get leads to you. It's a great way to get business, okay? Reach out to local, medium, and large businesses and organizations and avail your services to their employees and members. Great place for business, entrench yourself within a company. Become the go-to realtor for the company and or organization. And you do that how? It's kind of the law of reciprocity. You give, and pretty soon you'll receive. It's the way it works. Additional ideas. Adopting orphans, trading up, finding investors, community involvement, publishing a community newsletter, sending flyers by snail mail, or hand delivering them. Okay, these are some great ways to prospect for customers that you can work with. Adopting orphans. Now, I don't mean actually adopting someone, although that's a great thing to do if you're in that position in your life where you'd like to do that. But what I really mean by this is that you find those files within your office of the closings that have happened with realtors that are no longer with your office and probably have gotten out of the business, even is better. Because then you have no impunity to go ahead and go after those customers. If that realtor is no longer in the business, why not get those files, talk it over with your manager, and create a service program for those people and reel them back in as customers for future business, as well as referral business. It's a great source. There's the person that's trading up. There's the investors out there. They're plentiful, and they're coming out of the woodwork right now buying property and paying cash, which is great. Closes quicker, less hassles for you. Or they're buying on contract. And if you don't know how to write a contract, you need to learn. Because that's a place of business where if you don't know how to do that, then you're really missing a big opportunity there. Community involvement, publishing a community newsletter. Those two things. Community involvement. Look, why not? If you want to get involved with your community, which you should, and give back, volunteer for something that you have interest in, and go out there and help your community. We need to do more of that, I believe. And another way to do that, to keep yourself in the community's eye, is to publish a newsletter. And you can do that. Here's a great idea for you. Why not pick a neighborhood you love and go out and start to build relationships with the folks that live in that area, and build them a website just for their neighborhood. It's not that hard to do, and this is a place where they can go and they can share things that they might want to share on the community website. Things like garage sales, moving sales. Who knows? Maybe they have a business that they'd like to promote within the newsletter. There's all kinds of things you can do with that really can build a community feeling, and you can be the go-to realtor for that neighborhood, right? Or that organization. You can do that with an organization as well. Okay, sending flyers by snail mail or hand delivering them. I used to love to do the mail flyers out with a letter to the mega agents that work the market where I just took a new listing, let them know about the new listing, and I know they're a mega agent and they're most likely agent to possibly have a buyer for the property. If they would do me a favor and take a peek at it, I'd be happy to do the same for them in return. Thank you very much, Mike Fuller. And the other thing that you want to do with flyers, because I used to never have flyer boxes, because you're really shooting yourself in the foot with a flyer box. I can explain that to you later if you'd like to know more. But if you're going to have flyers on a property, why not take the extra effort and hand deliver those to the 50 closest neighbors? Let them know you've just listed the Smith home up the street. You feel it's a tremendous value. And the reason you're stopping by is to ask if they happen to know anyone that is looking for a home that might like to live in the neighborhood. Gives them a chance to pick their neighbor, right? That's what I used to say. And people used to break the ice with that, and you'd get to talking with them and try to isolate faces for them. Who do you know that's come over in the last year, or when you've had a get-together here at your home, that has mentioned anything about maybe liking your neighborhood? And is there anybody like that you can think of that maybe he's looking for a home that might like to live in the area? It's a great way to build business. You can not only that, you can maybe find buyers, but certainly you can find other listings as well. Because if you notice, whenever you take a listing, within 2, 3, 4 weeks after that sign of yours goes up, invariably another sign, 2 or 3, will go up within a 6-block radius of your sign. Right? So why not have that be another one of your signs, right? Instead of somebody else's. So go get those. Great listing sources. Here's some more. For sale by owners, expired listings, spheres of influence, listing bank, REO opportunities, asset managers, estate attorneys, and builders. Now, these are all great sources, and again, there's a plethora of sources. These are just some of the obvious. And the first couple 3 there are sources that you should be working on a daily basis, kind of your bread and butter prospecting. And then over the for the long term, things like a listing bank, geographic or demographic. I used to have one that started with 250 homes that I door knocked every single day, like I said earlier, and it grew to 1,000 homes. And I did the whole program, including pumpkins at Halloween that I hand delivered with a big truck, and scary songs and neighborhood kids and outfits, and the newspaper found out somehow every year they found out, and my picture was in the paper. It was awesome. And I ended up, after about 3 years in that neighborhood, I was getting 40% of the business, which amounted to at somewhere around 50 to 70 transactions a year for me, which is fantastic, and would have never happened had I not put that work into that, getting to know people, sowing the seeds. That's why they call it farming, I guess. Estate attorneys, great opportunity. REOs, let's back up REOs. I mean, that you can still break into that business, and there's a lot of it out there, slash short sales as well, if you have the stomach for it and have the persistence to stick with it and see it through. If you do, you can crush it with that business, okay? Estate attorneys, builders. Builders right now, they're starting to come out of the woodwork with some great opportunities on land right now. And if you can get yourself in front of some builders that didn't get crushed in the market, and that have some ability to now go out and purchase some lots and build some properties in the right price range that'll sell, you got yourself a winner there. So those opportunities are there, but they're getting snapped up. So I would go after those like right now. Top 5%, they're all listing agents. with very few exceptions. And they have three goals when they take a listing. They only list saleable properties, and they always have in mind to get the highest price possible in the shortest period of time with the least inconvenience to the seller. That's the attitude that you need to have to take great listings. I used to love it when I took a great listing and on the way out to my car, I basically say, that one's in the bank in my own mind because it was a great listing. It showed well. I coached them well, and I knew it was going to sell right away. That's a great feeling. Love that. You got to know more about the seller in terms of the current market, because if you go to that listing appointment, that seller knows more than you, you're done for. You're toast. It's over for you. Okay? You've got to do your homework. And that's the only way you're going to actually get great listings is to do your homework. And the way you do it properly is setting yourself up to get it priced right and saleable and staged and everything else. You need to do a two-step approach, okay, which we dive much deeper into in a more comprehensive program that we have. Okay, the listing presentation. This is critical, and I learned this one the hard way. I used to wing it, and then I buckled down and I learned my presentation word for word. And the great ones, the top 5%, they know their presentation cold. Every step, every word, every nuance, every question, when it's going to be asked, exactly how the presentation is going to go. Because no matter what the seller says, it's not going to throw them off their game. Okay? The top 5%, they use visual aids. Of course, if there's a CMA, they may use a career book, company visuals, photos, market statistic visuals, statistics from the National Association of Realtors that they provide tremendous graphs and stats that you can use in your listing presentations. The more of that you can use, the better, because most people are very, very visual. And as you've heard, 60, 70 or more % of all communication is nonverbal. So need to use visual aids, right? Top 5% know that price is king. 80% of the market of any property out there is price. Doesn't matter the condition, location, or anything else about the property. As long as it's priced right, it will sell. If it's not priced right, it won't. Simple as that. Okay, so the top people also, they know the mood of the move, and therein lies the two-step approach. That first step is you gathering information and getting to know the mood of the move. So you have empathy for the situation, and you can do the best job possible for that client. There's 10 steps to being a top professional. There's probably more, but here's 10. Step 1, personal appearance. You got to look and act like a pro. Integrity, step 2. Integrity is everything. Pros treat everyone with respect. Okay, step 3, business appearance. Do you communicate success and happiness or something different? Step 4 is attitude. Are you a possibility thinker? Step 5, talk like a pro. In other words, you got to know your stuff, okay? Do you think that Michael Jordan didn't practice harder than any other player, and that's why he was the best of the best? You know why? Because he practiced all the time. And, he was the first one in the gym, the last one out. And yet, he was still the best, right? Even if he didn't do that, he'd probably still be the best. But he did that to ensure that he had his skills sharpened as sharp as they could be. You need to do the same if you want to be a top realtor and make the top big bucks, right? Okay. Step 6, stay on top of the trends. People demand excellence in the pros that represent them. Don't think you can wing it. Those days are long gone, okay? And thank God, because if you want to be thought of as a professional, then you must act like one, which means you must know your stuff, okay? Be organized. The last 3 steps. Step 8, respect your fellow salespeople. Step 9, remember your family and friends. And step 10, see the people. Again, see the people. You've got to get out there and see as many people as you can to put yourself up to the plate to take as many swings at the ball as come your way. You want more? Look, if you've liked what you've heard today, and it's gone very quickly, I know, and there's so much more to go over, and this is just a nugget of gold, but if you want the mother load so you can get to the top faster, then simply enter your email, name and best phone number to reach you, and I'll personally contact you for a complimentary 1-hour strategy session, and we'll take a closer look and a deeper dive into your business and where you're at today, where you'd like to go, and if so, if you'd like to do that, there's no obligation whatsoever, and I promise you that I won't try to sell you anything. In fact, I guarantee you that I won't try to sell you anything. and that it will be packed full of great information that you can use. If it's something that you'd like to do, and then toward the end of that 1 hour call that we'll have, if you'd like to work further with me, then we can discuss it at that time. So thank you so much for your time today. Hope you got something out of this. I know I did. And go again to www.thesalessyndicate.com. Click on the tab above that says strategy session. Fill out the form. It'll come to me via email, and I'll reach back out to you, and we'll set up a time, and we'll have that strategy session, and we'll dive deeper, and we'll have some more fun. Make it a great day, and